Hello, everybody, and welcome to Spoilist, not Game List.
Oh no!
Oh, you were so close. A podcast brought to you by Game List, but this is Spoilist. This is where we're talking crazy here. It's gonna be pretty freeform. We're not going like a bunch of structure. We're not gonna recap the entire story for you or anything like that. I'm sure we both have some notes and some things that we want to discuss, but mostly this is just a nice, safe place to discuss things on the internet in a world where, you know, we try very hard on our podcast to respect spoilers. This is where we let it all hang out. And that's, I think, the important part to note here. So, without further ado, I'm Jake. This is Kaulin. We talk about video games on the internet. Let's talk about some right now. God of War Ragnarok. All right, no spoilers at first. Let's just talk about, like, this game and if you liked it. Like, I adored it. I am in awe of it. I compare it to a Marvel movie.
I compare it to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Fuck you.
It's
Fuck you. Dude, there were a couple times during Sonic where I was like, alright, whoever's played this have been playing fucking Outer Wilds. There's literally a bunch of like Outer Wilds influence and like even, I don't want to say like Easter eggs, but like callbacks too. Like, it's really wild. But anyway, God of War Ragnarok, I compare to a Marvel movie. It has the climax of a Marvel movie, the score of a Marvel movie, I would even say. And it plays out like pure fucking Kino, man. How do you compare this game to, I guess my question is, how do you compare it to God of War 2018?
better.
Right? A lot of the same, no doubt.
A lot of the same.
I think that's the main critique, is like, this game is a lot of the same, but I don't think that's really a fair critique, because it's more finding what worked and then like embellishing it.
It's a perfect evolution. It's not a revolution of the genre again.
Right.
Like, they did that with 4. This is like polishing everything.
Yeah. It's insane. Insanely good. It is a top 3 game of the year for me as of right now, no doubt. And for you, it is
number 1
game of the year, baby. I love it. I respect it. All right, let's jump into spoilers. So, biggest surprises in this game. First surprise. Go ahead.
Playing as Atreus, right?
Atreus being like his own playable character. Not as fully featured as Kratos, but very much like a fully animated character. I think the biggest surprise about Atreus is not so much like how he plays, it's that God of War 2018 made it such a point of like, here is a 25-hour adventure where the camera never leaves the shoulder of Kratos. And there was almost like some separation anxiety when you have that shift. Like, going to Atreus and then not having Kratos by your side felt fucking wrong and weird. And it was done perfectly that first time too, because Atreus was doing something wrong and weird as you controlled him, and you didn't have the choice but to accompany him on this journey and guide him over to Freya, which is the second big surprise. Freya is another Atreus.
Yeah.
Like, you have Freya is a full counterpart, a full side character with her own abilities.
Yeah, when
her own skill
Atreus is not there, it's Freya. Which you have to get a little ways into the game to get Freya to not hate you anymore.
True. I think that was a fun turn. They did that at the right time.
Yeah,
there was enough of like Freya, and you know what? The marketing was good on Freya too. They had her pitched as like, people thought she was gonna be like Mr. X following you around this fucking place for the whole time that you were there. But instead, that resolution comes like a third into the game, on a really good mission. That all that Vanaheim stuff was really solid. Where they were trying to figure out their differences. I think all that. Which stuff
my
well.
favorite key art of this game is actually Kratos and Atreus on the sled with Freya coming in from the right side,
which ended up being the fucking opening scene, dude.
The opening scene. They did such a good job marketing this thing. I can only recall.
Have a little bit of a gripe.
Okay.
Go ahead. Continue your thought. I don't mean to interrupt.
Well, I was gonna say they did a good job marketing it without spoiling it, because
so I'm gonna disagree wholeheartedly there. I cannot believe how much trailer 2 gave away. Trailer 2 shows scenes all the way up to like 2 hours before the ending of the game.
I should correct myself. I've only seen the first trailer.
No, that's not true. You've seen the second trailer. We watched it together.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, the trailer with the jellyfish and the fucking tree.
Oh, I don't remember the jellyfish in the trailer.
It was at like PlayStation, the last PlayStation fucking showcase.
I just must have missed this completely because I don't remember.
It shows scenes all the way to the furthest thing into the story that it shows is that Spark of the World scene where you're fighting the 2 Valkyries, which is deep, man.
I do remember seeing 2 Valkyries.
That's fucked up to show that, I feel like. Where I was like kind of expecting that the whole time, where to the point of like I'm basically trudging towards the climax of this game, and I turn the corner from Muspelheim into that Spark of the World, and I go, oh, this is the place where I fight those 2 Valkyries. Like, that sucks.
See, I
get it. The spectacle was really good, but I think there's like some moments that I wish I would have had not revealed to me. That was the first time. It reminded me of like how I don't like to watch. I mean, I usually don't get too butthurt about like video game trailers spoiling things to me, but this one definitely had a feeling of like, oh, I've seen this. Like, that would have been such a knockdown, drag out moment to experience that jellyfish without having seen it already in the trailer.
Yeah. See, I guess this stuff just like passed my mind because I remember seeing the 2 Valkyries and there was always this tiny thought in my head of like, oh, there's probably 2 Valkyries here somewhere. But my thought is that would be like the 2018 and how the Valkyries would be like optional fights. So I wasn't really thinking about it. And I definitely did not recognize the environment at all. Because like the only things that I really remember from the trailers were Freya attacking you. I remember watching Atreus shoot the bow and the day change, which is pretty late in the game.
Also, also a fucking insulting thing to show, if you ask me.
Yeah, and I remember
they showed a lot of their spectacle, and I think it worked. I think it got people hyped up, no doubt, but it did soften some of the experience for those who watched it, I feel like, when you watched it in the game.
I guess it didn't soften it for me because I just didn't remember that much.
Well, that's awesome about your short-term memory.
It is great. I have the ability to just wipe things I don't care about. But no, other than that, I didn't get any spoilers. Did you?
No. I was actually really satisfied. I was talking about that on stream today. Playing Jack and Daxter on stream, by the way. I've been trying to scratch my platforming itch. But
I saw that. Why are you not playing Sly Cooper?
Sly Cooper only streams on PlayStation Plus. It's fucking stupid.
Okay, you can stream it. It's fine.
No, that's not fun.
Anyways, continue.
Tight controls.
Continue. They're pretty tight.
God of War and Sonic. I beat them. I beat God of War in 5 days. I beat Sonic in 6 days. It's day. Excuse me, listeners. It's day 7 right now since Sonic came out, and I managed to make it through like the 2, for me, most important video games of the year without having them spoiled whatsoever.
Yeah. So let's. I'm trying to think back to God of War. The start of it.
I want to talk a little bit more about surprises. There's a couple more surprises. Outside of Freya and playable Atreus, there's a couple other companions that are really interesting.
So there's
Sindri,
Thor's daughter.
Sindri and Brock, yep.
Yeah, Sindri and Brock.
Really cool.
I love Brock.
There's Thor. There's a couple that are kind of companions where they are there, but you don't have control of them. I think the 2 that Sindri and Brock, you actually like hit square to have them do things.
Yeah.
Which is like, they're almost like a full companion. They don't have a skill tree or anything like that. There's nobody like Freya or Atreus outside of those 2. But Brock and Sindri are kind of like this, I guess, C tier. And then there's like a D tier one too, where Thor will follow you. Angrboda will do the same thing. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then is there anybody else? I think that might be it.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Which, Angrboda, she has the most beautiful attacks in the game. It's just like puffs of like colorful dust.
Yeah. I like that. I've heard some people griping about her section in the game where you're in the Ironwood, saying that it dragged on a little too long, but I disagree. I think that was a fun section, and I was intrigued at the story. It was pushing me along. I was turning pages in the book at that point. I was like, all right, let's keep it rocking in the free world.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Ironwood section. Which the very start of the game got me because freaking Fenrir died.
Oh yeah, Fenrir's thing was fucking I played the opening like 6 hours on stream, and I was trying to be a brave boy, but I was over here like,
Oh, dude, I played this entire game off stream, through the story at least,
yeah,
and I'm glad I made that choice because it deserves all of your attention.
mm.
But it's freaking Fenrir dying, and made me hurt because I would like look over and I'd see
the
my dog looking at me.
the payoff of Fenrir in the end
Yeah.
is
So
awesome.
when Fenrir came back in Gorn's body, or Garm in Garm's body, it was great. It was great, and I
Sure.
was like, it makes sense because Fenrir's like supposed to be like a giant wolf. I was pretty
Yeah.
sure. And yeah. I'm trying to think. There's so much to this game. Like it
Yeah.
was a journey that
From
trucked through.
let's continue on surprises.
Mm-hmm.
Third weapon,
Ah, yes, the Dropnir spear.
pretty cool.
Awesome.
I
Super
really
fun.
enjoyed using it. I was impressed. I thought that I could never like anything more than
And the axe.
the axe, and to be honest, I still like the axe more. But pretty
I did
impressive.
too, yeah.
Pretty impressive. Did
The
you
axe
find
is so fun.
the axe to be like? I think in the last game there was something about like, I don't know. The blades of chaos seemed a little nerfed this time around. Where I feel like they were more impactful. You got them halfway through the game, and I think because of that, they came a little juiced up, where it felt like this new powerful weapon that you got. So the Blades of Chaos always kind of seemed better. The fact that you had them off of the jump when you compared them to the Leviathan Axe, for me, I just kind of favored the Leviathan Axe the entire game.
I just like the mechanics of the Leviathan axe. In 2018 and this one, I never really used the Chaos Blades, and except for the enemies where I have to use it for.
I would mostly
just prefer
use
the axe.
I would mostly just use the axe for my general combat, and then I would switch to the other two when they were required, or when I just wanted to pump out their abilities.
Yeah,
I'd go
exactly.
leave them on cooldown, move back to the axe for my hacking and slashing, which seemed
Yep.
reasonable.
Yeah.
One of the things like early game that I switched up was I traded O for X in the menu, which I've never felt better about in my life.
To dodge.
To dodge with O just feels so right, and to pick up things and jump with X feels
with
so right.
X.
I don't know why
Yeah.
that was switched, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't wrap my head around it, and I realized
That
that
is
that's what I
odd.
did in the original God of War as well. So my first 2 hours, I was sloppy as fuck, just like, why can't I pick it up? Why can't I jump? And I realized it's because I hadn't switched them yet. And it's like, literally, that's an option in the menu, is you don't even have to go to your controls. It's on the first page when you go to your settings. It is literally swap O and X, question mark, yes or no. And I was just like, yup.
Really?
Yeah, no fucking question.
I wish I had done that. I didn't even think about that. Normally, I just oh yeah, I see it right now. Wow, I have the game pulled up right beside me. But I didn't even think about that. Normally, I just kind of adjust to the controls. I wish I had made that change.
Yeah, it's awesome. It makes such a fucking difference. It controls much more like every other standard video game. I'm unsure why that's the default, in fact.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about some other things that we liked. How did you like? I think one of the coolest things that's different from this game, from the last game, is that the last game was very much like a globe-trotting adventure. You went home once or twice for one reason or another, basically middle of the game and end of the game. I loved having Sindri's house at the World Tree. I loved
Like
having like a
hub.
home base where I could go back and see everybody and catch up. It's where I did the vast majority of like my, I guess you kind of what's the name? Tyr's Temple in the Lake of the Nine in the first one is somewhat your home base. Like that's where every time I was like, I need to go to the Smith, that's where I would go. I would travel into the center there in Midgard. But in this one, the World Tree, just being like, I'm gonna go do some upgrades. I'm just gonna go to the fucking World Tree. Just makes sense to go there.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Sindri's house was great. It felt like this entire game kind of felt like a heist, almost like you're gearing up for a heist. And
Yeah, it
things
had a
keep
little bit
going
of that,
wrong.
like we're putting together a team.
Yeah, it did.
Mhm.
And I thought the choice to show Atreus' point of view so often was a great decision, because otherwise I would have just been pissed at Atreus the entire game. I would have been like, Atreus,
Yeah.
why are you doing this? But I think making him playable and seeing like his point of view for his actions uh, gave us a lot of sympathy towards him.
Yeah, it was a very difficult situation that they were both in, where I think Atreus has a very like sympathetic story of Kratos is extremely controlling, obviously, and only with the best intentions, truly. Sometimes a little, coming on a little too strong with like how he's handling it. But it makes it for a very complicated situation for Atreus because he's dealing with having to keep secrets essentially for the first time. In what is mostly a duo, mostly a pair, which is really cool. And some of the best moments come from when those two are at odds. There are two moments in particular. The first one is when I forget exactly what's happening. It's when he runs away the first time. Yeah, I believe it's when he's coming back from Freya's in Midgard. And you've just gone away with Atreus for the first time. And then I'm pretty sure this is when it is. You go towards the fucking portal door and you go to click on it and Kratos just fucking walks through it, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That was dying.
God.
I was like, this fucking so badass, dude. So rad. So rad. The way in like the camera angle, you kind of see it from like Atreus's perspective. So like the camera pans around his shoulder and it's very much like looking up at fucking Kratos, and Kratos walks in like, "Mom says it's my turn on the fucking Xbox." Like
yeah.
So sick. The other one
there's
go.
You go.
I was gonna say I'm going on to a different subject, so continue.
Oh, the other one was where Atreus was running away and Kratos was back towards the house. Yeah. And Kratos, you see him, and Kratos is like posted up. He's like, "Boy!"
Oh, the fucking like, boy drop, the long-awaited boy drop. I love it for so many reasons. I mean, obviously, it plays on like what so many people think of when they play the original God of War 2018, and it's true. Like, he's not a boy anymore. But in that moment where he's like acting childish and being selfish, and Kratos just has to call him out on his shit, it works on so many levels for him to fucking finally yell out, "Boy!" It slaps. Yeah. It fucking slaps. Oh, dude, I loved it.
So good. And like literally everything Kratos does in this game is to like protect his son.
Yeah,
he does not care about anything else.
No. Even at his son's like expense to care about him.
Yeah. Truly. I thought it was really cool. Like there was a I wouldn't say a sudden change, but there was a change as it progressed where like Kratos was like, well, if this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen. I got to prepare for it. So he went from being like, I refuse to fight to like, I will kill anything in my path to save my son.
Yeah, it's fucking great. And he resigns himself to it too. Like, I thought these days were behind me. And
yeah,
for the right reasons, they're fucking not.
Yeah.
Which is badass.
There was... Well, when you went to go see the Norns, which I know you said it was kind of a snooze for you.
Yeah, I love that.
I like the Norns because I don't have the exact dialogue, and I don't really remember it very well because it's been a couple days, but they were talking about performances in like second and third acts and trying to make sure that the second act like properly sets up and delivers on the third act, which I took as like meta storytelling a bit on the game. And there were certain different things like that. What else? Before we get into the final battle stuff.
Oh, I got so much more. I have so much more. I took a couple notes of like good. I got some pluses and minuses here. I think this game is like, I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to the Easy Allies podcast, and Huber, one of the guys on there, was talking about how hard it is to review games that are like so close to perfect, where you stop thinking about like when you rate a game like a 9.5, you're not so much writing about like the 9.5, you're writing about the 0.5. You're nitpicking it at that point. You know what I mean? Like, you're so close to perfect. And for me, this game is a 10 even with its shortcomings. But there were like a couple things that happened. Like, this is a slightly buggier experience than God of War 2018 for me. I don't remember having many like graphical like pop-in issues or anything like that, but there were times where things would glitch around or someone would be standing in my way. There was a scene with Thor. I think it was the scene where Thor's super drunk and he's for some reason hanging off of somebody. Maybe it's, I don't know who it is. I think it's Atreus. I think he's walking with Atreus and kind of like hunched over him, and he's got that fucking wound in his gut from Kratos in the first fight, and that fucking wound was like glitching out the entire time, where it's like the whole scene, all I could look at was this like disgusting bloody wound that was like gyrating every time he fucking walked. It really threw me off. I just have like a couple like random thoughts that are, I'm just gonna run down some of these like pluses and minuses here.
Quick while I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, of course. Just freestyle.
The first fight with Thor where you die and he says, "Oh no, it's not over yet," and he brings you back to life.
And it plays you with the fucking game over screen too.
Yes, I was like, "Oh, I failed that? Are you kidding me?" And then I started seeing videos of where everybody got that. I was like, I thought so. That's so good.
It's so fucking awesome. There's another game that does that better, if you ask me. I don't think I'd experienced it before. I'm sure I've experienced it before then. Kingdom Hearts 3 has a moment like that. That's really good as well. That has like a fake out death scene where it looks like your standard, like, oh, you lost all your life, hit retry, continue from this point, but it's actually part of the cutscene. Gotcha. Really good. But I loved that. So some more like pluses and minuses. The feeling of the DualSense when you're traveling on ice in this game is so good.
It's great.
Yeah,
DualSense is great.
Speaking of the DualSense, I think it was 4 days ago. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was on the exact 2-year anniversary of the PlayStation 5, which we could look up what the exact day is. But I remember reading it was the anniversary because later that night, finally, my launch DualSense got stick drift while I was playing fucking God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, I want to say it was November 12th or something.
That might be right. But it was during one of my long sessions of Ragnarok, and I was like, what the fuck? I'm not moving right now. And Kratos is just like ever so slightly fucking moving forward. There's a lot of sprinting in this game, man. That's all.
Yeah, there is.
A lot of fucking smashing in my control sticks, so I'm gonna get a new controller.
Oh,
sucks.
Have you... I actually have one with stick drift as well. But did you have problems where like you'd be in a fight and you'd go to sprint towards an enemy, but they would have like the finisher button on top of their head, so you would accidentally start Spartan Rage? I accidentally started Spartan Rage multiple times because I sprint around the battlefields going as fast as I can. What else you got? Oh, actually,
I didn't love a couple of the puzzle solving mechanics. One move in particular I really found redundant through the entire thing, and I just didn't love it. And that was the purple.
Was it the purple arrow where you had to build
purple arrow, build the bubble, chain the bubble? I felt like it was finicky, and the perspective was always like tough to manage. I feel like I spent half my time just trying to line up these stupid purple things for them not to work or not be in range. It was just kind of annoying, and it also just felt redundant. Even like the simple ones were even more frustrating than the puzzly ones, where like sometimes the puzzle is okay. It's fun to figure out where to shoot the arrows to get it to a place where you can actually use the pump. Where I found it the most annoying was like all there is just like a fucking different type of sticks are blocking my way, and I can't just pump the fucking flame into it. I have to pump the purple into it and then the flame. I'm like, just let me fucking clear this shit out of my way. Just a little annoyance there.
Which a lot of that is like just for the Metroidvania aspect to keep you from being able to go there for a certain amount of time.
Oh, that makes sense. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah,
you're right. Repeat visits.
I
took my I'm gonna jump too far to the end. I feel like I'm kind of trying to save, like, I have a lot of thoughts on like the final 2 hours of the game, so I want to sort of get through like these like opening like everything up until then.
My bug experience, I had 2 bugs the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was a visual one near the end of the game where Freya was in a cutscene and her bowstring was just kind of floating over her shoulder, even though her bow wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Not that big of a deal, I guess. And then my second one actually happened today, which I'm currently like 100%ing the game, going around trying to finish things up. And I was throwing the drop near spear, and it wouldn't throw a spear. He would like make the motion and it would make a sound, but no spear would go. So I had to reload a checkpoint and everything was fine. But it was very odd.
How about your compass? How's your compass holding up?
The compass sucks in like open world
Yeah, the
areas.
compass fucking
Uh,
sucks in
yeah,
general for
but
me.
if you're in like a normal area, you kind of have to look at the compass like it's it's like plotting you a course. The compass doesn't point like if the direction is north that you're headed overall, but the path loops
It points
south
you
and
to
then
the
goes
path.
around north,
Yeah.
it's going to point you to the path.
Yep.
But
But I
then
feel like most of the times I didn't really need that. Like the game does a pretty good job of guiding you through like Uncharted style of
oh
like where
yeah,
you should be
yeah,
going. But it was like those open worlds when I was just like traveling around in like a fucking boat or on a sled where I'm like, where the fuck am I going? And the
yeah.
fucking compass is on the top like a fucking Davy Jones's
Schizo, yeah.
thing, fucking bouncing left
I
right.
would look at the cardinal directions at that point.
So
But there
smart.
was
You're a total fucking Plague Tale player. Very smart.
yeah, no, yeah. Intellectual. Oh God, I've forgotten. Oh, one of the things that I thought was really touching in the game was when Brock and Kratos went to the forge to make the Dropnir spear.
Mm,
And at this point, you had already found out from Sindri that Brock didn't have his entire soul; he only had 3/4.
sure.
So Brock was super excited to go meet this like mermaid goddess, whatever.
And the mermaid
Um,
fucking snubs him, dude.
it didn't even pay attention to him because he didn't have all of his soul because it
Yeah.
communicates with the soul and not like the person. And Kratos had like a great big speech about like it's your form or it's your spirit, not your form, or something like that.
Right.
It was very. I thought it was very touching.
Yeah, it was good.
And then like he asked him for a blessing and everything. There was something else specifically that I'm forgetting right now.
I really liked
Uh,
um another part that was awesome for me. Oh, that mermaid was also fucking spoiled in the thing. As soon as
Yeah,
that forge started dropping into the water, I was like, oh, this is the mermaid. This is the fucking.
I do not remember the mermaid. The
Um,
mermaid.
So I got two more pluses basically, and then I'm pretty much ready for like end game stuff. Everything from like crack of the world or whatever the fuck it's called, spark of the world on.
All right.
When shit all goes south. It
Yeah, that's before Spark of the World.
is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before that, first time I actually cried in this game was you're leaving. What's the snowy world called?
Niflheim.
Niflheim. You're leaving Niflheim, and Atreus and Kratos have finally reunited. They just did all this stuff with Fenrir, I think. And
Oh
before
no,
they
Helheim.
Helheim
Is where you fight Gorm.
Yes.
Or
And they're about to
Garm.
leave, and you're about to go back to Sindri's, and Kratos says like stop, and they fucking have like a pretty open conversation. It's where they make their promise to each other, basically, like
Yeah.
the catalyst for like the ending of the game. But
Yeah.
talks about how he like drove Atreus away and fucking like apologizes and all that shit is so fucking good. And Atreus being like as concerned for Kratos as Kratos is for Atreus is so fucking good, dude. It's like the two performances from these characters in this video game are unlike anything else that I've ever seen. Like I think the closest you could come is Last of Us 2, but I think blows that story out of the water, and the performances blow that story out of the water as well. Because these dudes are firing on all cylinders. It's the most that I've felt like I'm watching a movie performance in a video game in my life. And one of these dudes is like a gray man with a red stripe on his face.
Yeah.
It's still so fucking touching and so well put together. Absolutely fucking awesome moment.
There's a moment where they like run to each other for a hug.
Yeah.
Which was like, oh, I guess it's something about seeing a character like Kratos that is so like big and tough, like
Yeah.
show like he has emotions and he cares.
Yeah, there's a
for
couple of those
things.
like affection moments where like Kratos kind of like reluctantly hugs him and then like puts his hands off, and then Atreus is still
Goes
hugging
back,
him,
yeah.
and he goes back in to embrace him.
Yeah.
Skipping ahead a little bit, there's the moment where he's telling the story so that Atreus can sleep in the tent, where he puts his hand on him, which is really nice. My last moment, like before, I guess we can talk about Brock in a second, but just a real quick thought on Atreus when they fucking go back and Atreus wants to take his mind off of it to hunt, and
Yeah.
we get that fucking line. What are we hunting? Deer. Which way? In the direction of deer. It
Yeah.
was so fucking good for Atreus to drop that line from the opening of 2018 that Kratos says is fucking perfect, and he says it to Mimir. Oh, I loved it. How did the whole Tyr Brock thing, Odin thing hit for you? Oh, we haven't talked about Odin at all.
Yeah, Odin's performance, 10 out of 10.
So good, dude. Played
Odin
like a fucking mob boss, like a so calm and collected that it's scary. It's such a fucking nice touch. It's such a great video game villain that's not done very often.
That's what I was saying. Whenever we did that thing recently talking about like best video game villain, my pick was like, I think the Contessa from Sly, and I literally said it's because like there aren't that many good video game villains, but like Odin would be that. Odin would be there. I believe.
Yeah,
Odin was
I think a top 10 video game villain, no doubt. Yeah. And just played so fucking cool too. And like you can tell his intentions are bad, but there's like moments where like you can put yourself in Atreus' shoes and understand where it's like the guy doesn't seem that bad. He's got maybe ill intentions, but he's going about it in a way where it's like very interesting. And it's obviously we don't know exactly what's at play. He's playing fucking chess while everyone else is playing checkers for the entire game with the big tier reveal. Yeah. But
oh my goodness. Yeah.
Still pretty impressive.
One more thing before we go into the end game, which this is kind of considered in game too, I think. But so in Asgard, you are playing as Atreus and you are going on trips for Odin to repair this mask.
Sure.
To see into the rift. What do you think was inside that rift?
I think it's just one of those like all-knowing fucking things.
Because the rift looked like the rifts that Fenrir would tear to go to different realms. So is there a 10th realm in this universe? Is there...
I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's more of like a conceptual like creation of all things type of unknowable knowledge type of thing. I don't know. I don't think there's anything to really read into as far as like what is the rift, as much as it's just like the embodiment of like unlimited power type of thing. Like a pretty standard like villain wants to know all the stuff, and that's like what kills him, is his quest for like unlimited knowledge that you really don't need. It was his hunger for more that ended up being his like undoing. But I don't think there's any like crazy like MacGuffin or anything like that hidden inside there.
Yeah.
Brock,
do you want to start at Brock's death now?
Yeah, I guess so. Tier reveal, which was pretty. I don't know. I don't think I liked it as much as you did.
I did, because it makes me think of what little things did I miss that Tyr has said before, right? Like Tyr earlier in the game, he called Atreus champ, which starts the collapse into Atreus running away, right? So I'm curious what other little things Tyr said, or what other paths he put them on.
And Kratos calls him out a little bit, and Tyr is like apologetic about it as well. Mm-hmm. But he's planting those seeds of
like doubt and like It
is interesting.
Which
and then Brock putting it together is so satisfying too.
I know, dude. Brock's my favorite character. Brock, I love
the way that Brock talks is so fucking good.
It's so good. There was one scene, I don't remember what it was. It was after. Okay. I remember now. It was after Ironwood. When you get back from Ironwood, you fight Freya. You fight Freya as a Valkyrie at your home, and then there's a cutscene right after that fight, and you're like all chilling. And Brock just pokes his head up between the two of you in the cutscene and says something. I don't remember what it was. I died laughing, dude.
Yeah.
I laughed for like a solid 2 minutes from that.
He's really good. And I think the way that he just talks, like his dialogue, like always hits for me. I really enjoy like I can't think of like an exact quote, but like I know from like 2018, the one that I always think of is when he recognizes the fucking Leviathan axe right after you meet Brock, and he's like, I'm the feller what made her. Like just the way that he talks is so fucking funny to me. And obviously the most vulgar character as well, which always resonates with me.
Absolutely. There was one specifically, F Knuckle. I don't say it, but
Fuck Uncle. I got you, buddy.
I think it's hilarious. He's
So
so
fucking
funny. And then he died because he pieced it all together in Tyr.
Yeah.
Because Tyr was like, oh, I've got a way into Asgard. I've got a back way. Let's go gear
Tell
up.
me more
I'll be
about
right
this
back.
new secret way. Yeah, he's calling
Yeah,
out
I'm
on his
gonna-
bullshit.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab my things out of my room. And Brock's like,
Things
"You
ain't
got no
welding
things."
together right.
Yeah.
It's so good. And so
good.
sad. It's such a unfortunate. It's very like Harry Potter spoilers coming up. Like Dobby dying. Like it's like the most innocent, like the nicest, kindest person, like the one that everyone likes the most getting killed is a little bit tropey, but it always fucking works. Like it makes you feel so bad. So bad.
Yeah. It was Brock was
awesome.
definitely my favorite character, and then when he died, I was like, oh, not Brock. Which of course Brock was like my favorite supporting character. He's not like straight up, but
he's not Kratos.
I will say they did felt like more of an ensemble in this game than the previous one.
Yeah,
the last one it was Kratos and Atreus. This one it was Kratos and Atreus and
Brock, Sindri, Freya.
God, Brock, Sindri,
Tyr.
Freya, Tyr,
Freyr.
Yeah, it felt like a whole ensemble instead of just supporting cast.
What's the fucking sword's name? Ingrid?
Yeah, Ingrid.
Yep. Thor's daughter, what's her name?
Thrud, Thor's daughter?
Yeah.
That's her
Thor's
name?
daughter. That's right.
Thor's daughter.
Angrboda, yeah. Impressively large cast.
Yeah.
What's his name? The fucking pig. The hog.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Freya's hog from the boar.
Oh, Hildisvini.
Hildisvini, yeah, of course. How could I forget Hildisvini?
Yeah, Hildisvini, bro.
I think that was a cool little touch too. Let's talk about like those last few hours. So Muspelheim meeting, what's his name? Surtur?
Yeah, meeting Surtur.
Dude, I never want to see anybody hold open their chest wound the way that he did it. He'd fucking like hold it open for me, baby. Just fucking get over there and
it wasn't even real.
Bust it open
fake.
for me, Surtur. So fucking nasty, bro. So nasty.
At that point, I was afraid that everything was Odin, right? Like I didn't even think that. I didn't even think
it
that
was a little
really
weird. That was like actually a weird thing now that I think about it in retrospect. Like the Surtur stuff was all a little like fast and strange, and it was tough to follow his thought process and like the reason why he was like I'm not doing it. I love my wife. All right, fuck it. You can have me, but not my wife. But also my wife is coming anyway because she's inside my heart, and you can just kill me, and then I'll help you end the world. But I'm not coming, but I am.
Yeah.
And I think that about sums up the Surtur stuff. Also, I'm going to hold my wound open.
It does. It does. And I think that's why I think that was the goal there, was to make you nervous that maybe Odin has his hands in more places than you previously thought. Because
like Surtur's chest wound.
Like Surtur's chest wound, yes. It's like Tyr was bad the whole time. We didn't know it. So maybe Surtur could be bad. He could be just setting us up. So then directly after we make Surtur into Ragnarok, we have the double Valkyrie fight, which wasn't that bad. It was not as hard as most Valkyrie fights in the first game.
No, I took my first PlayStation 5 screenshot in 2 years when Atreus went fucking bear form, and they both did the finish on the Valkyries at the same time, dude. Where Atreus fucking rips them apart, and Kratos does the fucking neck snap.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know what this button does. I've been waiting to press it for 2 years. I've never had a fucking reason, and I hit that. Oh,
yep.
What a moment, dude. So fucking badass.
That one, and whenever you do the finisher on Odin for the last time, when it's Freya, Atreus, and Kratos all going ham, like the choreography there is so good. It is so good.
Yep. So after that, you roll to the Temple of Tyr.
Yes.
And
so after
you have that moment, which a little bit lost on me, was the relationship between lead Valkyrie and Mimir. But I guess that's old girl or something like that.
Yeah, they were lovers.
Yeah, okay. And they spent time together that night. And then
which
my second and final big cry. That fucking scene with Faye when he flashes back one last time and talks about like her impending death, where they're doing the trees together, I believe. Is it that scene? Is that the scene where they're doing the trees?
Yeah,
I think it is.
I believe so, yeah.
Just a fucking nightmare scenario, talking about like each of their individual mortalities, with Kratos's being like in question still, but nonetheless like an issue, and the fucking obviously knowing that she's like about to die, like very, very soon, like within the next, I don't know what the timeline is there exactly, but probably within the next year, is not going to be there anymore. Talks about her wishes for Atreus and what Kratos should be doing, and then the fucking quote, dude. You got a quote from there? Do you know it?
No, give it to me.
I don't know if it's like popular. It's got to be something from like, I'm sure this quote exists in like literature somewhere else, or it's like a Norse thing or something. But the culmination of love is grief is so fucking good, dude. Oh my god, so fucking good. Like and so well written and like it's incredible.
Love fully is to have grieved deeply.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely
to
insane.
grieve deeply is to have loved fully. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in that section there, she's also talking to Kratos about how he needs to open his heart. Which then plays into once you get a little further into the climax where Atreus sees innocent people being hurt by the Avengers assembling. And he's like walking around. He's like, close your heart to it, because that's what Kratos always told him. Yeah, and Kratos just says, "I was wrong. No, don't do that. Open your heart.
We're here because of your choices." Different. It's so fucking good. Maybe I did cry there too. I don't know. That whole last thing was like a mix of like super emotional, but also like super fucking badass, dude. All of like the General Kratos shit, like I will be your general. And then the fucking pump up speech walking into the fucking light was so insane,
that was
bro.
So good.
Oh my fucking god, it was so sick. It was like when he was giving the pump up speech, it was almost like a little bit underwhelming. It was very much like trying to be. I really equate this to like the Avengers quite a bit, but like it's a little bit like Iron Man, but he's just talking to like some randos. Like Freya and Atreus are also like a big deal, but then it's like like Head Valkyrie and like Freya's brother we met a few hours ago. Like the cast is like it's only okay, but when you get there, there's so many other things at play that make it all like worthwhile. Where you're kind of getting your like end game resolution. You get your World Serpent showing up, you get Angrboda and Fenrir showing up.
Yeah, the Avengers do assemble at the end game. This game really depends on you. It assumes that you 100%ed 2018. Because it talks a lot about finishing all the Valkyries. Which that Sigrun, the one that was lovers with she was the Valkyrie queen,
right?
Yeah, and then it talks a lot about finishing the Crucible in Muspelheim, and stuff like that. So then like that speech is a little bit more powerful there if you did do that, but
sure.
I think it really got me. I don't know why, but like when all the doors started lighting up. Going around
so
the
sick.
room.
Going around the fucking room was so sick, dude. It's so intense, and the music is building to this climax. And I can't remember a game that climaxed like this. Like it really did feel like a movie climax, like in the lengthy one. And that's why I think Avengers Endgame comes to mind. Where like I know that that's not like certified fucking Kino or anything like that. Like it's not the highest brow movie making of all time. And nor is this story. I think this story is like very much like a popcorn type of movie that's playing out in front of us, but it hits the gas and then doesn't take its fucking foot off the pedal. It pauses briefly for emotional like scenes that progress the final act through, but the way that the whole fight is like scored and the way that you're making your way around, so many video games front load their game. Where they're like, most people are going to hop in here and play the opening hours. What we really want to do is hook them. And I'm not saying that the opening hours of God of War Ragnarok are not impressive, but this game saved the best for last.
They are very impressive.
They are, absolutely. But they're not as impressive as the ending. The last 2 hours of this game are the most impressive video game hours I've ever played in a video game. They are absolutely immaculate. It's how you fucking stick a landing. And you know what else is like beautiful about it? We're gonna skip ahead just a little bit. Is like when you really think of like the ending as like its full thing. I think there was a lot of hype behind like this is the culmination of the Norse duology. They were like, it's not a trilogy, like this is it. It's God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok, and that's your two Norse mythology God of War games. And I think a lot of people, including myself, were expecting some sort of like, I don't know, expecting like Kratos to die or Atreus to die or some sort of big twist or some sort of big culmination. I had it in my head that maybe like somewhere towards the end of this game we're gonna leave Norse mythology and enter into the next mythology or something along those lines, some sort of tease there. And instead it had actually like a pretty mum ending, like a pretty just like straightforward, we beat the bad guys, life continues, we're going our separate ways. There's no big twist, there's no crazy fanfare or anything like that. It was almost it's a very subtle take on the story, but it makes it feel like a complete journey nonetheless. Like it is so good that they didn't have to go crazy like that.
I feel like they closed the book, right? Like they could always open it back up, but I feel like they closed it for now. At least on Kratos, because well, I don't want to get too far into the weeds of the end yet. We'll get there, but I think looping back around. First off, I just want to let you know, how old do you think Kratos is?
56.
He's about 1,020 years old. But
he's played like a guy in his late 50s.
There's about 1,000 years between the destruction of Sparta and Fimbulwinter.
Got it.
So the destruction of Sparta was at the end of
because I mean he's like immortal-ish.
Yeah, he's a god, so he doesn't age like normal people. But anyways, so the climax starts. Kratos has his speech. You all flood through the portal into Asgard. I almost forgot what it was called. You flood into Asgard and you look around and you see all the gates of all the different realms and how Odin has them all booby trapped. And you're like, oh, we got to fix this before they kill everyone. So you're working your way through trying to stop the booby traps, and the gates are just going up. Like one goes up and it's like, okay, well now Ragnarok's locked out. Another one goes up and you're like, okay, well, there go no more elf reinforcements. And then the army of the dead from Helheim, their ship gets blown up, and you're like, well, at least they were dead already. So you move on, and then that is where Atreus finally sees the innocents getting hurt, and Kratos says, we follow your path now. It is also
we're skipping where Atreus bear transformation that you finally get to fucking control.
Oh yes, that's true. Well,
So
that was right there. That was when Sindri was getting pinned down. Because you meet up with Sindri.
You're right.
And Sindri is worn down.
Dude,
like Sindri's like a
fallen
germaphobe.
Sindri.
Fallen Sindri, literally, because he's a germaphobe and he's always got everything super special, everything perfect. He's pissed. He is broken. He's dirty. There's blood all over him. His clothes are
eyes
ripped.
are bloodshot. It's fucked up.
Just Sindri's broken. He's a broken man. So you save him by turning into your bear form, which you can control.
Which is such a badass thing to have as just like a 2-minute section.
Yeah.
From like I think from like a development and like programming standpoint, that's impressive. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think it is. And then you work your way. You break the wall. You break the wall of Asgard down, and you work your way into Asgard, where you meet Thor. So you fight Thor again, and at the end, Thor is like, "There's no changing us. We're destroyers." And Kratos puts up his axe, and he says, "Not anymore," or something along those lines. It was very,
We must
He's
be
like,
better
for our children. We must be better for our children. Yeah. And it like clicks with Thor. He's like, "You're right. Like, we don't
just
have
in time
to be like
for
this."
Odin to fucking cap him.
Just in time for Odin.
Yeah.
In front of his wife and daughter.
Yeah.
Or was it just his daughter?
I think just his daughter.
Yeah, it was just his daughter. And then Odin smacks Thor's daughter with Mjolnir, and she just goes flying. I was like, oh well, she's dead too.
Not your story.
No. Yeah. So you give more exposition now because I'm trying to look up a quote.
I mean, honestly, such a fucking incredible scene. I love that there's a little bit of Thor redemption right at the end before he's unceremoniously capped. I think that all in all, once you get to that fight with Thor, the game at this point, even if it ended with a Thor fight, has a better... The climax of God of War 2018 is unimpressive. You're fighting Baldur again, and it's not as impressive even as the first Baldur fight. It's just fighting Baldur again in a smaller arena in 3 phases.
Actually, I disagree with that. There's like
Really?
the giant. You remember the giant?
Yeah, the giant has already crashed onto the ground.
But like all of that leading up, like
I guess. I mean,
the climax of this game is better, but like I don't think the climax of 2018 was bad.
I don't think that giant thing really counts as like the climax, because the giant is killed like hours before that. You have to go into the world serpent and do like a bunch of puzzle solving and platforming. Like there's like a whole level before that. Then when you come out, you get barfed out of the world serpent's mouth, and then it's fight time with Baldur.
I'll be honest,
happens.
I haven't played God of War 2018.
I just played 2018's
so
finale a month ago.
I just
fresh.
remember liking it better than that.
Yeah, it was all right. It's got nothing on this.
This was a good one. Very good.
But yeah, really fucking good. You have your quote?
No, I couldn't find it. There's surprisingly enough, there's not many quotes out right now because I guess not that many people have finished this game.
Well, it's been 6 days. We're just fucking absolute gamers, bro.
I know.
I finished Sonic Frontiers and God of War.
There's lots of videos and stuff. It just keeps pulling up stuff between Thor and Kratos at the end of 2018.
So, Thor and Kratos, Odin fight takes place.
Odin fight was good.
Atreus declares himself Atreus and not Loki. You know, breaks the fucking mask, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
We kill Odin's bitch ass. Sindri kills Odin, takes the last shot, which is awesome.
Yes. That he
pretty
deserved
cool.
it.
Well earned. And then we move on to the epilogue, basically. Atreus gets knocked out and you wake up as Atreus. And I was so surprised, man. I thought this was going to be some sort of fake out, and this is where like your ending starts, and it's very straightforward. It's like a little bit of like a tour. How's everybody doing? Check out the aftermath. A couple cool conversations with different individuals. You get to spend some time with Sif and I can't remember her name.
Not Ingrid,
for the fucking life of me. This entire Thrud. You know, you see Mir. You get to talk to everybody, and then Kratos is there after you talk to Angrboda, and then they have their conversation where Atreus has to go out on his own. But not before Kratos looks at the backside of the fucking prophecy. And what does he see, Kaulin?
He sees people worshiping him for being good. And that like breaks him. He starts to cry there.
Yeah.
Because
it's not over, man.
It's
because there's 2 more games, baby.
At least because it is over.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I hope it's not.
I read that completely differently.
No, I read it as Kratos is good, and people realize that now, and now he can finally rest.
No, I think he has to be the hero of the land again.
Okay.
I think he needs to earn that shrine in the eyes of the people. I think that there's a small minority that understand it, but I think that's a prophecy of like a different society of people that he needs to go. I read it as like they've been very straightforward. We've done Greek mythology, we have done Norse mythology. I think there is a third pillar to go figure out, probably Egyptian. I think you're right, where he needs to go and lead once again and really solidify himself in the eyes of the people to become a god that is treasured. It's like what Odin was saying. Do you know what it's like to experience love like that?
Yeah.
To be worshipped, to be prayed to?
I would be totally down for that.
That's what I feel like it was teasing. I feel like that was the only tease for a sequel, and it was extremely light, but it seemed impactful. It seemed like what he saw is that there's more to his story. I think that in Kratos' head, he was going to fulfill that prophecy and die for Atreus so that Loki could bring the end to Ragnarok. And when that doesn't end up the case, he has a brief moment of what's next. He sees that thing, and now he knows what it is. And he's happy that it's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I read into it. I'm not sure. Again, we're recording this early. Like, I don't have opinions from the internet to look in on right now. Like, I'm freestyling this. I mean, one of us is probably gonna sound like a fucking asshole at the end of this thing months later when everyone has their spoiler thoughts up. But I don't know.
See, I read into it as this is the end of Kratos.
Oh no.
This is him cementing himself as being good, and then I thought the tease was Atreus going off on his own, doing his own thing.
I think it's two separate things. I think that there's two games, two separate stories, and I think that they will intertwine. I think that Kratos will be in Atreus' game, and I think that Atreus will be in the next God of War. But I think that Atreus is going to get his own. My guess is that 10 years from now, 15 years from now, there are probably 2 more God of Wars and a God of War game spin-off type thing starring Atreus. I think there's 2 more Kratos games coming, and I think that there's an Atreus something spin-off coming. They might be the same game. They might be separate storylines.
I'd be more than happy for that. Like, I want more of this.
We don't kill cash cows around here. No doubt.
Yeah, that's very true. Which right now, currently...
Soap and Ghost make it out, baby.
Currently, Santa Monica is working on a new IP, evidently.
Yeah, I'm sure it stars Loki.
What would they call that? what would they call that game?
God of Mischief.
Yeah, but he's not really God of Mischief. He declared himself Atreus. I don't consider himself Loki anymore.
Atreus of War.
Atreus of War. I feel like he wouldn't be
God of War Atreus would be fine as a subtitle too. God
of Friendship or something.
They could call it whatever they fucking wanted, as long as they put him on the cover. I feel like he's iconic at this point.
That's very true. I'm watching the ending right now. I have it pulled up, and I'm trying to see if there's anything like art wise, which
I really loved so after you see that, and then Atreus has his little words with Angrboda, which I fucking love we'll call it romance between those two.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I'd call it that. Yeah.
It really makes you look at like Atreus in a different light. He's not like the kid that he was anymore. And that last conversation with those two kind of like being jovial around each other, and then him telling her that he has to go as well, and then just like kind of climbing up on his own after giving the fucking nod to his dad is so fucking good. And then Angrboda takes off in your solo, and you start making your way down the mountain, and the fucking credits start rolling, which is so sick. So sick. All the way down, and then you fucking find your way to Freya and God of War Ragnarok.
Then you're side questing.
That's a wrap. We're done.
Actually, did you get the hard black screen credits?
So yeah, I did do the one thing when they said that there was a funeral for Brock. I did do that.
That's how you get hard black screen credits.
Which was interesting. That I liked it. I think it's the right way to do it too, where like you're definitely got your full ending there, but having that extra send off for Brock was so fucking good, where essentially you go back to Svartalfheim.
Svartalfheim?
Svartalfheim? I think I said it right.
Svartalfheim? No, you're saying it fine. I'm just pretending like you're saying it some way different.
All right. And you meet up with all the dwarves, including the guy that plays the music, who is Bear McCreary.
Bear McCreary.
Right?
Yeah, correct.
He's the composer of everything.
He's a composer. Mm-hmm.
He's a very impressive man. And you end up having a Viking funeral for Brock, which involves a brief glimpse of fallen Sindri. And I love that a lesser game would have Sindri come around and those two bond over their broken friendship about losing somebody that was important to them.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Oh, it's okay. It's not your fault."
I know you lost someone too. No. Fallen Sindri is fucking pissed and he's holding a grudge.
He's mad. So mad. His speech where he broke and he's like, "I've given everything."
Oh my god, dude.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it really is so good. And then Mimir, dude. A hole. A hole. What gets bigger the more that you take away?
That's what Brock left. He left a hole, man.
You got anything else to add? I feel like we nailed it. I feel like we nailed our spoiler conversation.
I think that went great. I am watching the end right now, and I'm watching him look at the like prophecy. super sad. You can see him crying. Makes me
Yeah.
hurt. And I think you're right, because Mimir says, "What did you see back there, brother?" And Kratos says, "A path."
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So
I think there's more. I think there's more story to tell.
what
Kratos
did
is
you
going to
see in
be,
there,
he's going to
brother?
end that ship beloved. Going to lead the people.
Yeah, a path.
All right.
Man,
This is a game list. I'm Jake, aka Jake Twitchin, on all platforms, crushing it on social media. Kaulin over here, aka Kaulin,
Kaulin.
Kaulin_ on all platforms. We are Game List Show on all platforms, primarily your favorite podcast app and on YouTube.
yeah.
What's your what do we end with? We gotta say something cool.
All me and my homies hate Odin.
Oh, Fimbulwinter.
Fimbulwinter.
No. We'll do our usual plugs. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, appreciate it. Likes and subs go a long way. Leave a comment if we got something wrong. Helps us out a fucking ton. If you're already subscribed to us.
What details did you guys see that we did not? Because I know I missed so much.
Oh, absolutely. We had a hour-long conversation about a game that was 25 hours long.
Can I just
minimum.
say, I keep having thoughts pop up. This game felt expensive. Like,
yeah, it did.
Felt like it
Quadruple
should be more
A,
than
bro. It's not AAA anymore.
$70.
Sony
Like,
quadruple A.
Literally.
The best.
It just felt like money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. All right. Thanks for watching.
Thank
Press
you
the
guys.
buttons. Bye.
Bye.